Welcome back to another episode of Techsheck, where we continue to unpack and explore the Pakistan tech startup ecosystem. Today, we thought we'd do something a little different, and I have the honor and privilege of having Mr. Wajahat Khan, serial reporter and journalistic entrepreneur, with us here on the show today. Wajahat, thanks for joining us.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
You too, brother. Always great to reconnect with you. So, for the audience, here's the context today. Look, we talk about what's going on in technology, but we know what's happening with digital media in Pakistan. And I thought today, let's unpack with Wajahat a little bit, someone who's lived a journey across multiple mediums in that environment, on how that's going to impact the future and how that affects things in the political system today. So Wajahat, without further ado, welcome to the show. And please tell our audience a little bit more about when Wajahat isn't reporting on something.
Man, when wow, that's a really difficult. That nobody's ever asked me that. Man, I'm just trying to fix things most of the time. If not my health, then my schedule. If not my schedule, then the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. You know, this is all I do. I meet a friend for a drink, and I will tell him or her. I'll start giving lifestyle advice. I have a problem. I have a Mr. Fix-It problem. Just like that guy, Karachi, who won the election, you know, Mr. Fix-It, that guy. I'm that guy, except I'm slightly better looking. But I'm kidding. It was a joke.
All good.
But the thing is that, no, dude, over 20 years of reporting, and this is all I've ever done. I started doing this in high school. I don't have any other skill sets. It's all I've done. There's all sorts of rumors that I used to be in the military. I'm a CIA agent. I'm a former US Marine. There's all sorts of rumors on the internet about who I am, you know, but I'm not any of those things. I'm, you know, a guy from Quetta who grew up in Karachi, went to school in Michigan, you know, learned how to throw a football around, and came back and just ended up reporting. And I've been lucky that I started in the age. And Anand Giridas has written about this as well. The writer also went to Michigan, also similar age. He tells it better than I do, that we're from a generation which sort of saw the analog to digital switch.
Very cool. Very true.
It was nice to see, from my college paper to my first internship at Dawn. I was there when Dawn.com was launched in like 1996-7. You know, I was one of the first nerds, in high school to be reading Dawn.com on this. Well, there was a weird dial-up connection at that time. Used to make those.
Right. Yeah.
So from then to now, where I'm on the commode and I'm looking at Dawn's stories, you know, on Insta, while I'm on the throne, right? So it's just like it's nice to see even Dawn come, and Dawn is the most conservative organization in that country. So even seeing it cut the long arc of digitization, it's been nice to, from an internship which paid me where my job was at the Herald to get sushi for my boss, so he could, I could go make the run at the Pearl Continental so that he could flirt with the other interns. That was my job. First job was I was a sushi runner, right? Right. So from then to now, seeing the evolution of not just Pakistani media, but also the medium which it is built on, and seeing it expand from print to social, and from social to where we are now. We're at I don't know, but there needs to be a new term for what's happened to social. Is it multi-social? Is it Elon social? Is it Uber social? But it's really not where social started entering the conversation around 10 years ago. I wrote a paper about it at Harvard. It was the most downloaded paper that year. It was the most read paper that year at the Kennedy School. It was called Antisocial Social Media, because I spotted, and this is before the IS had a Facebook account, I spotted jihadists, the Taliban, bad guys of all sorts on hues and colors, and that's my day job. That's what I do. I try to keep a hard eye on bad guys. I started seeing how they are interacting in the social world, and I started calling it anti-social social media. So it's got those elements as well. But now look at what it's done. Look at what it's done to Pakistan. It's
Sure.
made Imran Khan what he is. It's made the army what it is. It's changed. It's singularly changed the last, not even year, I would say last 10 months. It's changed the dynamics of the country, and it's changed the trajectory of where that country's headed. And I'm kind of scared that one of these days, some judge is going to be told to cancel Twitter or cancel YouTube. I'm pretty scared because that's where it's kind of headed. It's sort of out of control.
I get it. No, you're spot on in terms of, and I trust your judgment a lot because you're someone coming from the inside in. And this is great because it opens a door to my next question for you. Now, no pun intended, I look at you and I start thinking about U2, the band, and how they progressed with the trends, right? And they're still around and they're still doing that. So I just gave you a thumbs up, brother.
Oh, wow.
You are the Pakistani media version of U2. You keep figuring out a way to reinvent yourself and reposition yourself.
I had a dream. I've never had this. I'm very private. I don't have these conversations, but you've triggered me. I had a dream several years ago, which is so vivid, about Bono. So the dream is that I'm at Karachi airport, which is a horrible airport. I love Karachi, but the airport needs to be destroyed with nuclear weapons, right?
Right.
The new one. Anyways, I'm at Karachi airport and I'm in that jetty. I'm in that jetty. And I've got my bags, and there's Bono and the rest, and the Edge, and these guys standing in a PIA plane, ready to get inside, right? And I bump, and you come in and you're late, and there's like just 2 or 3, and he's standing there with his sunglasses, right? And I say, this is a dream, this is a real dream, it's actually happened to me in my head. I'm like, hey man, good to see you. Welcome to Karachi. He's like, thanks, mate, thanks. And I say, by the way, you guys started sucking after Achtung Baby. And he turns around and says, he's like, Waj, maybe that's because you never really evolved after Achtung Baby. Right? And I wake up. Right? And that is my Bono moment, my YouTube moment. But I think that answers your question. That answers your question in a way, because nobody's really compared me that way to a band, much less you2.
Well, I take the privileges where I can, right? So and the question that boils down to that is, like, I'm seeing you, you said it. You started sitting behind the keyboard, tapping in basic stuff and doing sushi runs. And now you've crossed the whole spectrum, dude. You've been in Pakistan, all across the media. You've now come to New York. You've reinvented yourself. You're working at Nikkei as a digital editor. So my question then is, now, given your own evolution and what you've seen with media, I'm asking you to be a little predictive here. What do you see happening with the media technology in Pakistan? Right? How's that going to impact us?
Right. Good question. I see around 4. I like answering in quadrants, right? I like to go away with like limited, because we could go on and on, but it's nice to just take like
sure.
Yeah. So on our plate, there's 4 bits, right? So I see a threat, which is through the political diatribe, the political narrative, which is really quickly, the first mover advantage is Imran Khan's PTI. They were the first one to move into this, into the digital stream around 12 years ago.
Right.
The military followed. Usually it's the military which steps in, but the military followed. I remember meeting ISI generals and ISI admirals 10 years ago saying, hey, what do you know about Twitter? They were asking these questions 10 years ago. They're not asking those questions. They're in Twitter now.
Got it.
The Noon League was next, and then the PPP was slow to follow because, it's the PPP. It's always slow. But these were the main players. But then this was peppered. All of this was peppered with freelance journalists and NGO activists and, like LGBTQ folks, and who want to support Joyland, which is amazing, right?
Sure.
So it's sort of become this semi out of control entity, which in a police state like Pakistan, and I'm going to say that unapologetically, Pakistan is well on its way to becoming a police state. It's not at North Korea levels yet, but it's getting there. This is from friends who are on the inside. So
sure.
I feel that the threat will be that one day, when this animal becomes too large to rein in, some general, some judge, some some minister somewhere is going to sign a letter saying, shut down Twitter. They've done it before. They can do it again. They shut down YouTube for a good part of a decade. So that's one. That's one. That's the threat. But on the other side of the threat is the promise. And the promise is fantastic, right? Like I said, the fact that there is a community of LGBTQ people who can get organized on Twitter and make Joyland trend and go to the Oscars. The fact that there are freelancers who've made this a business now. They can exist on digital. There's younger chaps than me, like the Junaids of the world and the Morus of the world. I don't know all their names. Ali Gurpeers of the world. There's women emerging. I'm not really as hip as some of these people are, but there's a whole generation of millennials and Gen Zers who are emerging. They're making this a business. They're proud of the politics. They're proud of their bodies, and they're proud of their economics. And that's the promise for me. Then that's on the individual entrepreneurial level. I can't say that. Entrepreneurial level. Individually, that's the promise. The growth is going to be triggered in all of this is the corporations on the sidelines. 3 years ago, I met the CEO of Toyota at a party. I said something provocative to him, which is what I usually do. I'm like, you guys are full of shit. What are you guys doing? You make a $20,000 car, you charge us $55,000. That's ridiculous, right? So I said, he's like, you know what, man? I want you to work for me. This is how people rope me in, with money, right? With greed. Anyways, so I ended up doing a digital-only series, which is on Toyota's site. It's called Conquer the Wild. It was the first algorithm-based series. They gave me a truck and they said, go ahead and destroy it, right? Just do what you can to drive this thing into the ground. It was something which had hundreds of thousands of views, driven from Karachi to the Karakoram to K2.
Nice.
In 7 episodes, and you must catch it. It's called Conquer the Wild 2. Ali Azmat, the rock star, did Conquer the Wild 1. I'm very, very humbled that after a genuine rock star like Ali Azmat, they hired me. But the fact that a very conventional, conservative Japanese company like Toyota took a chance on a clown like me and said, go ahead and make a digital-only series, which will live only on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and it did well, goes on to show that even corporations are beginning to, get into this. So that's the growth spurt. That's the third bit. And the fourth bit is really, for me, on a very personal story. So for me, I am, and that's what I've reserved for the personal bit, is that for me, digital is the comeback story. I've moved to New York 3 years ago. I went old school. I work for a very blue chip organization. There's a lot of writing, very conservative, very, very, very old fashioned. But the fact that I can't bear what's going on in Pakistan. I can't bear witness to it. I have to participate. The inner animal in me wants to come back. This is the best way to participate in any conversation I want to have. And that's where I'm thankful that there is a digital presence there. So those are the four: the personal, the political, the entrepreneurial, and the corporate. Those are the four ways I'm looking at it. And all of them are interesting to me as a story.
That's fantastic, Wajahat. And I think, you summed it up really nicely. And that's a good thing about having a professional on board here.
I don't know about that, man, but thank you. Thank you.
Well, look, as you know, we try to keep these a little tighter and punchier. And I know you and I could probably continue for a couple hours. We could turn this into a Joe Rogan podcast, I'm sure. But I'm going to hit you with the last question. Right?
Go for it.
And this is really important because, again, you're someone who's transcended that. You're here in this system. You see Pakistanis here. The biggest question I have, and you know why I do this. We talked about it, right? What the heck can the diaspora do to really weigh in and help, right? Just to do their one little piece to try to make things a little better in our environment.
Yeah. So I mean, humans haven't really changed, right? So our version of man or woman or they was 50 years ago. Pakistanis or Indians, we were whatever we were 75 years ago, we were Indians. And all of a sudden, then we were Pakistanis. There's a whole other debate. Do not get me started on the partition. But
Sure.
our version of expat 50 years ago was writing letters to his dad or his mom or his fiance or his lover,
Sure.
his buddies, right? 40 years ago, we started making calls. You know, we could afford a call, right? 30 years ago, we started sending emails, right? 20 years ago, we got into this whole like SMSing thing. 15 years ago, we got into Facebook and all sorts of other media we could send. Now we can do this with I can call my mom on FaceTime right now. She's my age and she's hip. She's got it. She tells me when she sees that blue check, she's like, hey, I messaged you. You saw my message. She knows what the blue check means. And then she kicks my ass, right? For not responding. So this has, we've evolved, but the diaspora hasn't, right? So if our comms have evolved, right? Why hasn't the diaspora's sense of contributing or participating, right? Where is, right? So why is the diaspora saying, oh, I'm going to sponsor TCF and make a school in Gujar Khan? Okay, that's freaking great. Make your goddamn school in Gujar Khan, get it off. You make millions, go give some poor people some money. But guess what? Gujar Khan's still going to be a shit show because you're not really participating in the larger picture. You want to build a mosque in your Dada's village? Go ahead, knock yourself out, build that mosque, make that school. These are important little bits, but they're adding to the microfiber, not the macro fabric, right?
Very cool. Yeah,
and the macro fabric is investing in individuals or in institutions which are looking at the big picture. Why isn't that the diaspora? What is the last time the diaspora sponsored a professor to teach at the Qaid-e-Azam chair at Columbia, which is empty, by the way? Why isn't the diaspora making moves to coordinate with the embassy to fill in endowments for think tanks in Washington, which can change the conversation on Capitol Hill and the White House? When was the last time the diaspora got together to build a Pakistan study center at Harvard or Yale, for that matter? Because that is where the conversation is going to change. Building a masjid in Gujar Khan or whatever the hell, no offense to the masjid or Gujar Khan, great concept, like I said, but it's not really doing it for me. In New York, I went to this one fundraiser last year. It's the fundraiser, black tie, off shoulders, you know, everybody, all these Pakistani boys and girls think they're in a James Bond movie, right? And, you know, it's amazing. And all they're doing is making a school in Gujar Khan. That's what this fundraiser is for, right? And again, no offense to the people who run who are philanthropists. I'm not a philanthropist. You know, I'm too self-censored and invested in actual change to be a philanthropist about raising money. Nobody believes me anyway, so nobody takes me seriously. But those who do, let me just beg you to look at the larger picture. Invest in an organization like Techsheck. Invest in an organization like Columbia University's South Asia Studies Center. Give them a call or give me a call. I'm on the alumni board and I'll connect you, because that is where change will start happening. Not just, you know, making your you know, whatever. Don't treat Pakistan like a guilt trip is what I say to the expats.
I got it. Yeah.
You know, paise de diye or zakat de di and done. Yeah. It's got to be more. And the best example, and this is going to piss people off, is look at what the Indian diaspora is doing.
Sure.
And that's a whole other show.
Of course.
I'm a big fan of studying my Indian friends and foes, but because there's a few of those too. But it's nice to see, because they're the closest parallel we have to us. They look like us, they talk like us, they walk like us. They're slightly different, but you know, whatever, right? But the whole idea is that's the natural comparison, that's the natural latitude to mine, and I will compare myself to them. And it's amazing to see the success story of the Indian diaspora versus the downfall of the Pakistani expat community, and that needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed now.
Man, Wajahat, you know, great insights. And I'm going to be super honest with you. This has probably been one of the edgiest episodes I've done. And I feel like you have inspired me to maybe become a little more edgy, because being in the background and being quiet and just plugging away doesn't seem to make much happen. So, first of all, I really, really want to thank you and appreciate your candor and
Thank
your
you.
ability to come out and discuss these things. And I'm very happy you're on the show. So, thanks a lot for coming on.
You know what did it? I think it was the mention of YouTube. I think that's what did it. So I'm going to go listen to some music now, man.
Hopefully there's a lot out there, and if I think I'd start to speculate if there's someone who could find the end of the internet, that might be the guy sitting on the other end of this camera. So but,
All right.
but with that, to our audience, as you can see, look, we're always trying to be a little different, but what the message, and I think, you know, Wajahat's backed me up a little here. Let's get out of our comfort zones a little. Let's do things differently. Let's look at ways of looking at our neighbors, perhaps, or looking at other things around us that work, and leverage that. And with that, please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and give us more referrals. And I bid you all Allah Hafiz.
Lafez. Take care, buddy.